All right, we're rolling.
Hello and welcome to episode number one. Let's start again.
Clearly, that's what you want to do.
So 9.
9. Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of the Worlds Adrift podcast from Bossa Studios. My name is Julia and I am the host for the episode. Lucky you. Joining me is Malford.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hello.
Legendary Luke. How you guys been? Feeling good?
Feeling great.
Yeah,
It's been an insane week.
it has. Filled with anxiety and fun.
Yes, my two favourite emotions.
Yeah.
Yes, I think the anticipation and then the uphill and then the roller coaster drop.
Yes.
Butterflies in our stomach or mantas and thuntamites in our stomach, which is kind of gross.
I mean, we do also have butterflies in the game. Or like firefly type things.
Firefly
I
type
don't-
things.
I think they're only in the intro video at the moment.
No, they're also
Because they're in the
lamps.
Founders thing, aren't they? You got those like lamps full of
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the bug lamps. Yeah.
bug lamps.
Nah.
That's what we've got in our stomach. Bug
Do you
lamps.
even play your game?
I thought you meant the Iron Creator effects that were
Yeah,
like
we do have
glow
those, but yeah, they're not in.
things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how was your experience on launch day? We're treating it as a second coming of Worlds.
Yeah, launch 2.
It
Launch
was
27.
a bit hectic just to make sure everything was going. So I
Yeah.
know we were like a little bit delayed with getting it live.
Yeah, and obviously we were at the time on stream live waiting for it to go.
Yeah. So I had to jump in, and we all had to jump in.
Sorry about that.
You know,
Have a nice chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
anecdotes
Yeah, exactly.
and other time passing fun.
That was all part of the plan, though, you know.
Yeah. Somebody in the office said that they didn't know that there were any delays, and because they were on their way home when they were listening in on the stream,
There you go.
and they're like, and then they found out the next day that it's like, oh, okay, that was like a good job, guys.
Yeah, we covered for it really well.
Yeah. Except the players actually did know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I had an inkling.
We fooled no one.
No.
Except the one guy. Do you guys know what caused it?
I believe it was something to do with one of our FSIMs dying straight away, wasn't it? It was sort of
Yeah, and there
behind
was
the
some
scenes.
configuration things
Yeah.
that caused fun. I mean, one thing I don't know if we're breaking the rules by talking about it is the PTS configurations for 10 times the resource drop.
Oh, yeah.
When we first ran the live servers, you were getting 10 times everything.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to go live with that.
No, it turns out that actually makes the game, it ruins a little bit. I mean, some people would say it improves it, but
but it does.
Not me.
It does mean that, like,
You just get through the whole game
harvest
in
a
about
couple
2 hours.
of scrap deposits and you're good for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's I think the reason it worked quite nicely on the PTS is because it was sort of 4 days at a time, and then you lost your data.
You
So
people just like kind of like
meant people could see all the content. But like if you were able to get like maximum of all the resources in the first 4 days, then it's sort of like there's not a lot left for you to do in terms of finding stuff and exploring.
yeah.
Well, that kind of reminds me that some people are saying that the game as it is way too hard. I kind of. What's your opinion on that?
You're all weaklings.
Remember, you're talking to the man who made Surgeon Simulator. Right?
I punish
The
people.
mastermind.
No, but I think we, hopefully now with we still want you to kind of have to rely on other players.
Yes. Okay.
If you're a solo player who can just grab everything on a singular island and be like, cool, I'm done now. If you want to have these big endeavors of like crafting a large ship or, maybe getting into a lot of fights, to obtain those resources, you're going to need to, be a little bit social, work together, that sort of thing.
I think a lot of that stuff will be really improved with the trading stuff when it goes in because, I mean, there's a lot of, things that some people, for example, were talking about how in PVE they might not be able to get certain resources because they don't want to go into, in PvP, because they don't want to go into the Badlands and, no, I did mean PVE, that was right, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they don't want to, they don't want to engage in PvP, so they don't want to go to the Badlands to find those things. They're like, then we're cut off from that content. And it's sort of like, well, actually,
No pain, no gain.
Well, no. The point is you don't have to engage with that content if you can trade for it.
Yeah, you just pay someone and go, I need you to make a unique journey across the sandwall for me.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
You know? I don't actually, drive the train to work myf.
No.
You don't?
Indirectly pay a man to do that.
No.
I'm not engaging in the train driving content that real life provides. But you know what? I feel that's not the content that I want to engage with in real life.
I only drive my own trains.
And also
to
you have
work.
to build your own train and put it on the tracks, and you're just like, no.
Yeah, I get someone else to build that.
Yeah.
What do you want?
We're in the middle of a podcast, right?
Oh shit! Sorry.
It's all right, we'll cut it.
Yeah, we can cut it.
We'll leave it. It was Kirk looking confused.
Dean wants to know. Dean wants to know what he needs to do for the stream.
I'll text him after this.
Is that today then?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'll text him after.
Yes.
Go.
Leaving this in. A peek behind the
Don't
curtain.
look unprofessional.
Oh man, I wish these devs were more professional. This actually relates to a question that we're going to be getting a little further down the line of this
Oh,
podcast.
it sounds like a fun one.
Yeah, it is actually. It's why I roped you in. So, well, aside from the fact that you're kind of the vision holder for the game, how have you heard that the reaction to the PVE PVP has been pretty much 50-50?
In terms of population, yes, there isn't. I think the peaks yesterday, there was less than 30 players between. Like the difference was less than 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, anyone who's playing obviously knows that the areas are pretty packed. We made a change this morning that vastly increases the amount of times an island will now respawn.
Yeah.
Or the respawn lightning.
Yeah. So you're not going to be
Thunderstorm.
stuck waiting for a couple hours.
So it should alleviate, especially like going into the weekend. It should hopefully alleviate resource-starved islands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on top of that, obviously, so the servers are very busy, and they're pretty much 50-50 split. We're going to see what happens, obviously, over the course of the week, where see if that numbers change. But definitely, really quite interesting. So I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, why would they go on PvP? They're going to go straight to PvE."
Yeah, I mean, there was sort of this weird thing where we had this large group of people who were saying, "Oh, why are you doing PvE? No one's going to want to do PvE. It's going to, this is a PvP game." And then a bunch of other people saying, "Oh, why are you doing PvE? Everyone's going to go on PvE, and there won't be anyone left for PvP." So at the moment, at least, it looks like they were both right
the initial
and
reaction, because there was the whole are you going to split the population? But obviously, we've got far more on each server than we had. Like one server has 3 times as many as all of 5 servers before the launch. So population's definitely back, and we haven't split. We haven't suddenly split a tiny player base. We've now,
We've added to it.
Yeah, which is the intention was always that we were just going to add to it.
Yeah.
One of the encouraging things for me, I think, I mean, obviously there are some issues where it's difficult for us to support huge amounts of players on, a limited number of islands, for sure. But one of the encouraging things for me is that we haven't felt like there's been this sort of performance thing that's saying that we should be splitting the servers and that kind of thing. It looks like having everyone on the same region is going really well, and we're able to sort of support the number of players in one place as well. In terms of on the back end. So that's a really encouraging thing. We just need to figure out how to balance.
Yeah, and going forward, the main focus right now on a lot of the coders is all of the performance stuff.
Yeah.
So the next update after this one, which should be quite soon, is going to have a ton of fixes that one couldn't make it into 27, and that we've since identified since update 27's gone out. So hopefully that one will hit and people will notice a big difference.
Well, I think the following 2 updates are planned to be major fixy ones.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely focused update 28 will be bug fixes, probably some art updates, stuff like that. Update 29 is going to have some pretty hefty content in it as well.
Have some features.
Alongside
Any sneak
again.
peeks?
I think we've already spoken about it, or at least Monster
we
did
talked
on
about
the last
the
one. It's all of the
instruments and stuff.
overheat ciphers.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Okay, so that's in 29.
That's 29.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So and hopefully with that we also get some performance stuff,
And we'll get some fun stuff. I know you said the instruments.
Yes.
We'll get some fun stuff in there too.
Yeah.
So,
The war drums.
yeah.
Yeah.
The drums of
Very,
war.
very excited about those.
Are you recording them yourself, or
I'm going to be recording the guitar.
the flamethrower guitar?
The flamethrower guitar, yeah. And we've had a professional percussionist to record the drums.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's been pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet. We
Yeah.
can start a band. It's gonna be great.
No bands.
Yes, bands.
We can't support bands because all your timing will be off.
That's gonna be even better. Oh man, somebody mentioned we need to add bagpipes, and I thought that is a horrendously wonderful idea.
It's great because
It's
Only
great
on the
because of
PvP
how-
service
Yes,
you can.
It's just like
So
troll
any-
people with it.
So at any time you can shut them up.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm still quite amazed that specifically because I was speaking to analytics, specifically new players. You would expect that a lot of the new players would go into the PvE server, but
Yeah.
it has been 50-50 split. So old players, new players alike, it's 50-50. Or like 49-50.
Very
51.
interesting.
So yeah, I found that awesome. What do you guys think of the trailers?
I thought they were very impressive, Julia.
I want more.
You do?
Like the lore one with the Marauders, I'm like, we still don't have like a video like that maybe kind of like establishes like the world and where it is, right? Because we have the intro video to the game when you first make a character, but that's quite like, vague. Yeah, I think I'd love a little like sort of a deep dive into certain like cultures and stuff using the same style we did with the Marauders.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, dude. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. Malford, you're writing the lore.
Well, so all the lore that Gracie and I have written has been sort of post breathing in because, it's a lot easier for us to... I think that's one of the things that's interesting because we've got a huge amount of lore in the game. There's novels and novels worth, but the majority of it is, and certainly all the stuff that was there before this update was, a very long time ago. So it didn't necessarily reflect the world that players are actually playing in. So I'm really hoping that in the next sort of coming updates that, we'll be able to not only continue to sort of dive into the past and add more from those cultures that were there in the past, but also bring in more of these sort of slightly more current, factions and pieces of lore and stories that reflect the way that the players play the game as well.
I really look forward to it.
Yeah.
I love like the fact that this time we had like really modern, world's modern, like character-centric lore, and especially if you guys find some letters addressed to Violet, they're hilarious. Hilarious and kind of heartbreaking at the same time.
She's an in-demand lady, and she's not particularly interested.
I don't know.
Cinderhead is one of my favourites. Cinderhead is one of my favourites. Actually, speaking of, because one of the pieces of writing, just one piece of writing was written by Muster, and it's a poem that Cinderhead wrote, which is one of my favourite pieces of lore that's in the game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He's an amateur poet, definitely.
Let us know if you find it in the game.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we can move on to some of the questions from the community.
Exciting.
One of them is actually not even a question. It's frozen waters. Sorry, guys, but it was the exact opposite. They, CCP EVE Online, started out as intended with a subscription model and only recently, 2 to 3 years ago, went to FTP.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Right.
When I was listening to the podcast, I was like, they're wrong.
Well, the
Well, I knew-
podcast was
Wrong.
titled Merry
Yes,
Misinformation.
that's right. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
I knew that there was a subscription model. I didn't know they switched to free to play.
Well, no, it's because it was what was CCP doing originally? Like, I think they just had like a cosmetic store, and I was like, what? I was like, EVE Online released in like 2000.
Yeah,
There
no.
was cosmetics back
No
then.
such thing as like a cosmetic store back then.
No, I don't remember what I even said. I'll have to listen to it again.
Don't worry, it was wrong.
I know. I'm used to being wrong.
Between the two of us, there was something approaching a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did Monster say on that topic?
I don't know if he got involved. He might
He
not
was
have.
wise.
Yeah,
And kept
he's
out of
just-
it. No assumptions
He
were
knew
made.
that he was surrounded by idiots.
Whoops. Sorry to everyone at CCP. The Nightman asks, "Hey, you should either do an event with X of mats, or change it so that we can." We get 2 times mats on live, or ships cost less.
It's not a question. Then
That's not. It's not really.
That's a demand.
It's a demand.
We did have a design meeting today because one of the things we're looking at is like revamping like progression.
Yeah.
So it's you have a little bit more to work towards, but you're like guaranteed to get the thing
you can
you want
set
at the end,
targets
right?
and go towards that specific
And
target.
I know one thing we were discussing as a potential is to have maybe at the weekend you get certain things are available and things like that. So little
How
bonuses,
exciting.
little boosts, stuff like that.
So
the
it's just
system
the-
is hopefully going to allow that stuff to happen.
Yeah, it'll allow us to be more, because at the moment to do something like what you've suggested here, we would need to make a new build to do that and then change the build back, which is requires a bunch of work. What we're hoping to do is put in systems that allow us to do that without having to put a new build out, basically, to do various things and events.
Jinsei asks, podcast question, what ideas are you working on to expand the depth of player interaction in game and open up more choices for players besides shoot and loot? So this kind of relates to what we were talking about earlier. The hybrid servers will be an interesting experiment, no doubt. This is last week's question. So I hope they are well received. However, I am of the mind that players don't necessarily need more protection, just more tools to enable different styles of play besides pirate and pirate victim. Example, if we wanted to be a merchant trader, what tools do we have to help me safely trade with other players besides dropping a makeshift chest on an island and hope they don't shoot me and take my stuff? And then he posts a thread on the forums where there's actually a very lovely discussion. Some people kind of already discouraged some ideas or discussed why they wouldn't work, but in general, it's
I think
really
I took a brief look at that one
Yeah.
when you sent the link through. I mean, the main one you mentioned there being the trading is planned.
Yeah.
We definitely we've been discussing ships being used to gather things, specific types of ships are needed to gather specific resources for uses.
a harvester.
Yeah, essentially. Stuff like that. We want to have to build ships in certain ways. So we have the loom coming up, which would be used to craft clothes. So we would expect, someone who's crafting a lot of clothes is going to have to kind of, build a ship with lots of looms on and all the storage to hold all the pigments and stuff like that. So you'll start, and we've seen that with the stove and that, certain tasks will start being sort of given to ships, and obviously, the weight conscious will be like, hey, I'm not interested in crafting clothes, cooking food, being a trader. I'm more of a pirate shooter.
Yeah.
And you'll build your ship in that way.
Yeah, and the other thing which is probably quite a long-term change, but at some point we've talked about we'll do a creature revamp, and at that point we'll be able to have more creatures.
That'll definitely, yeah.
It's a long way off, I think, at this point, but it will give us lots of opportunities to have different kinds of gameplay in terms of going exploring the world and hunting monsters and getting resources from them. You sort of want all of these different roles to feed into each other, really. So you want to have somebody who's happy to go out into the places that are very dangerous to find the rare creatures, to hunt them for their components, and they can take them, sell them to the trader. He can then sell those things onto the
Crafter,
tailor who wants to make a fabulous leopard skin jacket or
Exactly.
something. Yeah,
Flying leopards.
all that stuff is
Terrifying.
Yes, flying leopards. That's confirmed. But all of that stuff, I think, feeds into the fantasy and feeds into the economy and all of those things. The difficulty is obviously that most of that stuff isn't possible yet, but it is on the horizon.
But I think even now, and hopefully, because you said this was from last week, so probably hasn't had a chance to play, maybe wasn't playing the PTS, but a lot of the new cooking recipes, they've got some pretty good buffs with them. They kind of require resources from various creatures in different parts of the world. So even something as simple as that, like, hey, I'm going to be like a chef, or I'm going to be a hunter. Like, there are rare resources you can gather from the creatures that are used in a few schematics and also for the cooking. So there is every chance that out there somewhere there's a need for someone to, start hoarding some manta meats and innards for some special recipes. As well as the tailoring, there's rare pigments now, so and rare clothing schematics, So if someone wants a particular tealy shade of Marauder gear, there's quite a few different places that you need to go to gather all that stuff.
Yeah,
and it's not all pirate and pirate victim. Yeah, you got to go journey. Yeah, and explore.
And even
sorry, I think he's more asking if we're going to be kind of giving players social tools to exchange these.
Well, I think, I mean, the specific example they're given is like a trade post, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely something we've planned. We've got a couple of big trading systems like designed.
Awesome.
We just have to figure out what's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's
coming. It's complicated, but,
It's a weird game for a lot of these things. In fact, there's some things that, like for trading, the sort of the thing that you've got in your head right now that you think is simple is much more complicated than the version that we've got, which sounds much more complicated.
First stop, stack splitting.
Yes, we actually had John walking around today asking about stack splitting. We are aware, and it is currently being worked on.
Yeah.
So there you go. As well as rarity icons and everything. So when you find yourself a rare bit of clothing, you'll actually know that it's rare.
Oh.
Especially with lore pieces as well. So you'll know, like, because a lot of the time, you learn a lore piece, you'll find another one, and it'll say you've already got that. And so because you won't see how much knowledge it gives you, you don't know if it was like a rare one or not. So you don't know how valuable it is.
Yeah.
But then, you'll suddenly be able to actually know the value of these items, and, the trading lore could become a thing.
That's awesome. I can think of a couple of current AAA games that forgot to include that into their lore pieces, and it's quite annoying there as well. So, yeah, I feel your pain, guys. Right, the Human Germ asks, my question for the podcast is, any news on the handheld compass? Ideally with a better readout, like using mills? What?
I don't understand what using mills is.
Handheld compass? Question mark?
No, not right now, I guess.
We
have spoken about it. A lot of FPS games have it easy because they can just show it in front of your face, whereas a third-person character, it's hard to have a handheld thing that you can read, and we don't really want to then go sticking like a UI compass on the screen when you have your compass equipped. That's a little bit.
I mean, we could do something like have the Marauder compass is something you place in the world, so you have this big compass you cart around with you and put on the ground, which is kind of ridiculous.
It's a little bit cumbersome, but I mean, I know we do have, so much like how the Marauder compass works, there'll be a player crafted Atlas compass where you can take the object that it's pointing to and put that somewhere, so you can always track it. So maybe you might give it to your friend, and then so that might
Wait.
whether or not that goes on your ship.
You can track an object you're giving to a friend.
Yeah, so say I craft an Atlas compass, I would give you the thing that the Atlas compass is pointing at, and so if you travelled off hundreds of miles away, the compass would still be pointing towards you. Or maybe
That's
it's a buried
GPS
treasure.
Tracker, huh?
Yeah, basically, it's a GPS tracker. Yeah,
that's kind of creepy.
So it can be used for nefarious purposes if you're stalking somebody, or it could be a thing to keep in touch with your mates, know where they are.
Yeah, imagine that you're a player who
pretty damn cool.
You're playing with your friend, but you don't always get a chance to play at the same time.
Yeah.
Then you can give each other these stones, and then you come back into the game. You're playing together, but you haven't played together in a couple of weeks, so that you're a bit of a distance away from each other. Then you have these things that point towards your friend, so you can meet up again.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool. And then you don't have to beacon to each other and just lose everything. Cool. That is really, really cool. Is there anything else you guys have been up to this week? Oh, what's your plan for tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow?
I'm refining some progression design based on our meetings today.
That's true.
Moster's continuing on his overheat resource overhaul. That'll be so one thing we do actually want to try, and I know community's been talking about it.
Yeah.
is when you're going to put the materials into the slot,
Yeah.
you're going to see the stat changes on the schematic before you craft it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I take my iron and I mouse over the barrel of my cannon,
Right.
it will tell me what that iron is going to do to the stats
Okay.
if I put it in.
It's one of the things people have been asking for a
So
while.
a little
while.
yeah, a little less guesswork. And then we've got a few new resources coming in as well that kind of fill some of the gaps in the variety for ship part building, but also the entire back end of like how ship parts gain stats from which components has all been overhauled by Mosta. So new sciences to be had.
Monster the overhaul monster.
Yeah, so new sciences to be had, new things to find, but we'll give you a little helping hand because it's going to tell you how it's going to be affected.
So basically, Luke has done torturing you guys and is now actually like throwing you a bone,
Basically,
making your life a little bit easier, but not too easy.
yeah. Or we were finding, that maybe players were almost not aware of the depth of the crafting system.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, I guess I just care about weight.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's fine if the hardcore guys are like, oh no, look, like, and then that player then has to go out and ask players on the Discord or, more experienced players like, oh, what metal should I use?
Yeah.
It's a little bit walled off from them trying to do it themselves. Whereas if they had a stack of a few metals, they can mouse over the parts and go, oh, actually, I'm going to do this. And they can almost feel like they're engaging in that system and not just being like, oh, it's completely impenetrable. I'll go ask someone, which is the goal there.
Cool.
It means you don't have to have the wiki open as much when you're playing. All right, guys, thank you very much for listening to episode number 9 of the Worlds Adrift podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, you can give us a rating on iTunes, which really helps us get up those charts. Well, we're currently storming the charts. We're at number 7,000? No, I don't know. I've made that up. But, you can give us a rating. That'd be really good. Help us with some visibility. If you'd like to get in touch, you can do that on worldsadrift.com, on facebook.com/worldsadrift, or on Twitter @worldsadrift. You can also speak to us there directly, and Julia will put in the notes our Twitter handles.
Yes, and then also join our Discord where we are constantly hanging out, and there's lots of good people there. There's some less good people there as well.
It's full of scumbags, is what they're saying.
You can find people to crew up with.
You can definitely
make friends.
You can find all sorts of information. Sometimes when people message us on Facebook or in Twitter DMs, we can't get back to them, and it's not even a support kind of question. It's advice questions. So head over to Discord. There's always someone around who knows a lot.
Probably more than me at this point.
Yeah, probably. Definitely more than me. Definitely more than all of us. But yeah, thank you for listening, and we bid you goodbyes until next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
I love you.
Bye.